Hispanization was brought about by the introduction of Christianity. The factors that contributed to the incorporation of Spanish traditions to the Philippine culture are as follows. The first is that Christianity was able to fill in the psychological needs that pre-Hispanic religion wasn't able to. Christianity provided them with a more concrete explanation of heaven and hell. It also introduced to them the concept of reward and punishment. Second is that the friars earned the natives' trust by living with them and adapting to their culture. Third is that the friars united the people through the use of the Bajo de Campana. This is when the people would go to church whenever the bells were rung. The last factor is that the friars were symbols of prestige and novelty. The mission of the Spaniards was to spread Christianity all over the globe. Thus, when they came to the Philippines, they wanted to convert the natives to Christianity. The friars played a huge role in society, not just by teaching God's word, but also through education. However, Christianity wasn't able to reach certain parts of Mindanao. The soldiers who helped in conquering the Philippines were rewarded through the encomienda system. An encomendero, in this case the soldier, was assigned to a group of natives. He was like a little king in the sense that he had the power to collect taxes. He also had a duty to teach the natives about the Christian faith. However, many encomenderos abused their power and made the natives like servants. The Spanish also introduced a new system for the natives. They had cabeceras or capitals for each province. Unoccupied soldiers would then go to the nearest barangay and conquer them. This was known as entradas or raids. This is how they conquered many barangays. After the entradas, the friars would then teach them about Christianity. Before the Spanish colonization, Filipinos worshipped the gods, nature spirits, and ancestors. Their beliefs were very centered upon the harvest, whether it be good or bad. Spirits are blamed for both the misfortune and good things that happened to the people. The legacy of the Spanish conquest and their attempts to colonize these indigenous people were mixed. The friars destroyed whatever they could that has a relation to their native beliefs and religions. They destroyed idols, ritual houses, and anything related to their pre-Hispanic religion. They even tried to destroy all examples of native texts and symbols for fear of rebellion. The friars also imposed on the Filipinos their code on morals and prohibited them from acts like polygamy, gambling, and the consumption of alcohol, all of which were very normal in the pre-Hispanic time. They eliminated ritual drinking and dancing, which was practiced during a 3-day fiesta held before the start of the planting season. Public dancing was against the law and couldn't be done unless one had a special license from the governor. The fiesta, however, found its way in the religious calendar by being dedicated to the veneration of a patron saint. Drinking and dancing as ritual features turned into social practices and milder forms of entertainment. The friars left a part of their European culture that synergized well with the native Filipinos, like the play of the Passion, which they used to tell stories from the Bible. Until now, this is practiced during the reenactment of the Passion of Christ during Holy Week. Clothing was more directly affected. The friars persuaded the natives to dress with more modesty, decency, and chastity. The men shed their bahakes and put on loose trousers, while women added sleeves to their blouses and replaced the simple tapis or wrap around skirt with a full skirt covering their body from neck to ankles. Spain established a centralized colonial government in the Philippines. It composed of a national government and some local governments that administered over the provinces, cities, towns, and municipalities. Their function was to maintain peace and order, collect taxes, build schools, and public works. The Philippines was once represented with the Viceroy of Mexico, which was another colony of Spain. By the time Mexico was liberated from Spain, the Philippines was ruled by a Governor General. The Governor General is the king's representative and the most powerful official in the Philippines. He supervised government activities and tax collection. In addition, he had legislative powers as he had to make sure that decrees and laws from Spain were implemented in the Philippines. The Spaniards created local governments in the Philippines. There are two types. First is the alcaldía, which is headed by the alcalde mayor, who is in charge of conquered provinces. The second is the corregimiento, headed by a corregidor, who is in charge of provinces not entirely under Spanish control. Each province is divided into several towns called pueblos. These pueblos were headed by a gobernadorcillo. There are four lieutenants who aided the gobernadorcillo. First one is the teniente, which is the chief lieutenant. The second one is the teniente de policía, which is the police lieutenant. Third is the teniente de cementeras, which is the lieutenant of the fields. And the last one is the teniente de ganados, which is the lieutenant of the livestock. Slavery was slowly diminished over time and was replaced with the terms kasama, which means partner, or katulong, which means helper. Because of Christianity, the people saw each other with more equality and dignity.
One of the most important contributions of the Europeans was the wheel. Along with it came the construction of roads and bridges, which greatly improved transportation and linked communities closer together. Animals like the horse, sheep, and oxen were imported. In lieu of bartering, the Spanish established the use of coins and money, which led to commercial banking. In terms of the arts, the Spanish instilled various Renaissance innovations and ideas. Painting, books, paper and pen, ink, and stringed instruments like the guitar, and even the piano were presented. Church music was brought to the Philippines, and so were the compositions of great artists such as Beethoven. Even the Gregorian calendar was applied. Before that, the Philippine calendar was a day behind. The first Filipino press was by the Dominicans in 1593. They used engraved wood blocks. This printing press is considered to be one of the oldest in the world and still resides in the University of Santo Tomas. The very first newspapers were La Opinion, Manila Alegre, and Diario de Manila. The first Filipino printer was Tomas Pinpin, who is also known as the Prince of Filipino Printers. He wrote the first Tagalog book, Librong Pag-aaralan ng mga Tagalog ng Wikang Kastila. The first books printed were Doctrina Cristiana en Lengua Española y Tagala, Doctrina Cristiana en Letra y Lengua China, and Tratado de la Doctrina de la Santa Iglesia y de Ciencias Naturales. All of the early Filipino printers were taught by friars on how to use the printing press. Education under Spain. Religious orders introduced education. The Augustinians were the first religious order in the Philippines. The Spanish Jesuits established the first school in Cebu in 1595, which was the University of San Carlos. The Dominicans established the University of Santo Tomas and San Juan de Letran. The Jesuits established Colegio de San Jose and the Ateneo de Manila University. The Daughters of Charity established La Concordia College. Of course, one obvious legacy is the Spanish language. This is the medium that friars used to teach in school and even in church. Additionally, Filipinos were given Spanish surnames. After being baptized, they were given surnames like Gomez and Ramos, and surnames like Santa Maria and San Pablo, which were after the names of the saints. They sent lists of Spanish surnames to each province. Indeed, the Spanish colonization left many contributions and legacies in the Philippine art and culture.